Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is about Cernunnos. Before we start though, I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path, and if you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. And if you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice because you're not sure of where do you start and how do you sort of pace yourself along the way, then have a look at my free video, How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice. The link is in the description field below this video. I wanted to do a video about Cernunnos as an offering to Cernunnos. It's one of the ways that you can give offerings to the various deities that you work with. You can actually offer a video or information about them or a picture of them or a post of them as a way of honoring them. So today it is Cernunnos, and Cernunnos is known as the Horned One in paganism. Ker, from an Indo-European linguistic connection, means growth, or I think it also means long and hard. I have read elsewhere where Cernunnos, spelt with the C, has got some Latin connections, and that's where the Horned One comes from the actual name. But he is a horned god. He's a horned god with stag horns, though, not goat horns like a lot of people would like to accuse the Wiccan or witchcraft deity, male deity, of having. It is actually stag horns, and we'll get into why that is further in the video. Now, he's considered a Gaulish god and also a Celtic god. He's found in regions throughout the parts of Europe, but also into Romania. So there's a little bit of him getting around not only in the Celtic regions and the Gaulish regions, but also in the Eastern European as well. And a lot of the deities that are in the Norse mythology, Celtic mythology, all around that region do morph and syncretize with each other and do get around, because a lot of people were traveling and trading and doing all those sorts of things. So that's why so many of the deities move around. With Cernunnos, he's also known as Hern the Hunter. He's known as the Lord of the Wildwood, Lord of the Underworld, and Lord of Souls. He's a deity of the underworld, so a lot of people love to work with Cernunnos for shadow work and going into those deep underworld depths of the subconscious mind, and he can certainly take you on those journeys if you want to work with him that way. When you see images of Cernunnos, particularly more the traditional ones like statues that may be found in the Gundestrup cauldron in Denmark, even the images that are found in various other places such as Notre Dame. He is usually depicted as with a man's body. Sometimes he has snake legs. He's usually always got the stag horns though, and it's not sure whether he actually is a manifestation of a stag or whether it's like a shamanic headdress that he is wearing. No one's really sure. I find that the whole stag is really just a representation of that connection to nature, and that he can morph and appear to you in various different ways. So it's not like he's kind of stuck with always having to have stag horns. It is in some ways different ways that he does appear. He does have associations with the green man. So the green man often appears in trees with a lot of foliage around him, and I've often seen Cernunnos kind of morph with the green man when I'm seeing him in nature. So for me, there's this weird sort of morphing with the two of them, where they are very similar deities, and that they can morph sort of into each other. And so I'll often see Cernunnos in the trees with a very distinct sense of it being Cernunnos. So that's just my experience of seeing him. When you see him in more original statues, he's often holding a torque. Now, a torque in the Celtic lands is a symbol of nobility. It's a symbol of status. So we know that he has a high status, being a god, so he should. The talk itself has the power to be able to ward off curses, enemies. So it's a protective symbol as well as a status symbol. And he's usually also holding a snake as well. And we assume the snake is that connection to the underworld. It's that connection to the earth itself, and to the connection to wisdom, to the whole recycling of the earth, and the way that the snake sheds its skin. There's these really beautiful connections with the imagery of the snake when you look at the snake in a positive light. You'll also see him with a deer, a dog, a boar, and raven. So the various animals that you'll see him with in various different statues and carvings. He's associated with the winter solstice. Now, when we start getting into more modern witchcraft, particularly Wicca, you will start to see him being associated with the sun. So he starts to get a bit of a solar connection. So that's the rising of the sun at this winter solstice. So he's born at the winter solstice, and then along with some of the myths in Wicca of the god, he then dies off at the summer solstice, and then comes back at the winter solstice. During Beltane, he weds the Beltane goddess, and his symbol throughout all of this is one of rising power, like the sun rises in the morning, that rising power, that potency, that power. So it's the active element, it's action, it's power, it's moving out there in the world, action, yang energy. He has a very strong yang energy, a very strong masculine energy, and if you're working with him, it's a really wonderful way of learning how to work with the masculine aspect of the divinity. Especially if you're a male wanting to get more into connecting to your inner masculine, or if you're a female wanting to connect more to your inner feminine, it actually helps to be able to understand the masculine shown in a way that is very, very positive and very strong, particularly in a god such as Cernunnos. He can teach you a lot about the way that the masculine and feminine can work together. So if you're working with a goddess and a god, you get the opportunity to see how the two energies work together, and where they're not fighting each other, where they're not being even forced to fight with each other. They are actually brought together in a way that is creative and helpful to yourself. It changes the way you relate to yourself and the world around you, and it helps you step more into your inner power and the strengths of your dominant energy. So if your dominant energy is feminine, you will step more into that. You'll still have the aspect like the yin and yang, where you still have the other in you, but you'll be able to embrace more of that power in its true form. The same with the masculine. You'll be able to embrace that more in its true form, rather than the convoluted forms that we often have thrown at us through the media, through Hollywood, all of that stuff. So particularly these days, where we have a lot of conflict going on between men and women, we really need to look at trying to not see the other as the enemy, but to actually embrace the aspects within ourselves so that we can fully understand what's going on in other people as well. So Cernunnos can help you with that, whether you're male or whether you're female. So other associations, of course, are with animals and with nature, male fertility, and I'm looking at my notes here so that I don't forget anything. So I have a tendency to forget things sometimes when I'm doing videos. And abundance. He's a god of abundance. He's often shown with a bag of treasure. So he's a wonderful deity to work with if you're wanting to bring more abundance into your life, of resources, of money, of whatever it is that you need of a material nature or to help you in the material world. And if you're working with the chakras at all, Cernunnos is great to work with for the root chakra, that earthy root chakra. Magically, work with him for wealth, work with him for prosperity, work with him for a higher income, for more money, for more resources. So even if you need more stuff to help you, more food, better shelter, anything that is of a physical nature, you can certainly work with him, and he will help you bring in whatever it is that you want and what you need. He's also a god of healing, so you can work with him for healing and work with him for protection. And even though he's not often shown as a deity for protection, because he's got that talk there, the protection is also there, so you can work with him for that as well. If you want to give him any offerings, wine is probably one of the most favored offering that you'll find out there. Red meat, fresh soil, moss, even some beautiful leaves from a tree, fresh leaves from a tree that may have fallen on the ground, and bones. So he's very, very earthy, very, very much on that animal instinct aspect when it comes to offerings. So he's not a deity that for some people it's easy sometimes to work with, because he does bring out a little bit more of that primal aspect to our animal nature. So just be aware of that. But he really teaches us about survival in the world. So he's a great survivalist deity if you're into survivalism at all. If you want to offer oils or work with scent at all to maybe attract his attention or to just offer as an offering, then you can look at sandalwood, musk, cedar, pine, anything that's kind of woody and also has that sexual energy to it as well, like musk does. So that is an overview of Cernunnos, a little bit of how to work with him. If you want to work with him, just simply bring some of those offerings to the table, bring some of that incense or oils, and just ask him to come to you. Just chant his name. You can chant his name up to as long as you want to chant it. Beat a drum if you've got a drum. Beat the drum and chant his name and ask him to be with you. And work with that every day and see how he will come into your life. Usually when it comes to deities, you'll usually get an urge to work with a deity because they may be urging you to work with them. So if you're thinking of working with Cernunnos or you're seeing him pop up a lot, then it may be that he's calling to maybe work with you. So there may be some aspects in your life that he can help you with so take notice of that if you do see him popping up a lot in your life, or even if you're attracted to him as a deity, then take the option of asking to work with him and see what happens. Don't forget, I have that free video, how to start your witchcraft practice. And if you do want to learn Wicca or witchcraft with me, I do have the Mystery Witch School 101 course where you can work with Cernunnos because he is part of the deity section that I have in the course. There's quite a few deities that we work with in the Mystery Witch School course, mostly because I'm trying to introduce people to how to work with deities and also the various different deities. So Cernunnos is certainly one of those. And we do a lot of basic Western witchcraft work, but it's paced in a way that just helps you step by step learn what it's all about, how to do it, and how to bring your own inner self-acceptance and self-love into the picture as well, because that's really, really important for the craft, that you can step into your inner power and your inner strength as a witch. And so the course certainly will help you do that too. If you're interested, the link to that is also in the description field below this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Blessed be.